Hi class, I want to do a quick review video here because I'm noticing a couple of things from projects that have been turned in the last week or so. I've got a lot of variables here. Let's say this is my predictor variable. Okay, we'll just highlight that there. So I want to predict the sales. So I want to build a model that does that. So I'm going to use multilinear regression. I'm not going to use these two because that suggests seasonality. So we're just going to ignore those. We're not going to worry about those. I'm just going to black those out just so they're not in our mind. But I want to use all of these other variables here because I want to create a multilinear regression model. So I'm going to go up to data, data analysis, go down to regression, and Y range. I'm going to grab all of these, and here's why it's important. Note that I grabbed the label. I saw a couple students not doing this before, and it made it really confusing. There was a bad data inc situation there. I grabbed the label too. Now, when I go to X, I want to grab all of these here. Now, if you're having trouble at this point, it's because maybe your independent variable is in the middle of this data set, and Excel needs you to have continuous columns. So you're going to have to move your column around a little bit. Now, because I selected the labels, which is going to be so important when we launch that data analysis pack, I want to check mark labels right there. If you do not do that, you are going to have a bad day. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go down here and go to output range. Now be careful because once you click on this button here, Excel is going to go right up here. So you want to click back here and then go somewhere like J1 or something like that. Doesn't really matter. We hit OK, and now we have our model's results. I have an R squared of 0.87, which I guarantee you, folks, if you did simple regression on this data set, your R squared would be really bad. That's where sometimes multilinear regression does a much better job for you. So again, remember what I said many weeks ago, I think it was week 7, when we started looking at forecasting and the like. There's a couple of things that I care the most about. R squared, we want that to be as close to +1 as possible. Remember, it goes between 0 and 1. And then I also am concerned about the significance of F. We want that to be less than equal to 0.05, and so it is. Remember, whenever you get an E over here, whenever you get E, it means that it's really close to 0. The other thing I like to look for is p-values. I want these to be less than equal 5%. And as you can see from here, I actually have some pretty bad ones up here. So the lesson learned here is even with your R squared, this is why I go through this with you, folks. You need to go back to week 7 and 8 and in that area when we did the causal forecasting, if you missed this point. Even though R squared can be really good, our sample size is horrible for more than half of our variables here. I don't consider intercept as a variable. It's its own thing. So if I were to ask you on the exam or something along those lines, how many variables do we have in your model? If I say, hey, use all these things, the answer would be 5. You would not say 6. Because intercept is not an independent variable. It's the intercept. It's its own concoction. Then the final thing that I look at here is the coefficients. This is what you determine to build your model off of. So let's just go ahead and do that final step here of building that model out. So for simplicity purposes, because this data set goes long, I'm going to copy these things all the way down. And in this case, I've actually done it. But let me start this from scratch here. And we're going to go ahead. I'm going to reset that because Excel doesn't like it when I delete something. It loses the reference. Okay. I'm going to advertising discount. Okay, good. I'm just going to bring these down here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in just any old number. I'm going to put in like a 10. Where am I getting this from? I'm making it up. But I'm going to show you how this all works just as a refresh. And I'll put in a 1 here, just for whatever the advertising stuff. So now what I want to do with this section here is I'm going to take this times this plus 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 intercept. Not multiplying anything at that end piece. So now here's my prediction, 1500. Now granted, that's in a pretty good excuse me, situation there. Moved on. So quite a high number there. But that would be our prediction using multilinear regression. Obviously we'd look and say, wow, discount level is very powerful. So maybe we would discount that to 5 to see what our sales would be. And so this is where the business analyst can really have some fun here and start thinking, if we make some decisions, what could we expect? So it doesn't really matter what this one is. If we change the original price, it doesn't change it by much. Just look at that variable there. It's really insignificant. So is temperature. And keep in mind, temperature is misspelled here. I will look for that kind of stuff if the variable is misspelled and it's not corrected, things like that, because it goes against data inc and professionalism. So just wanted to show you how that all works. Thanks.